quite a tepid applause. I wasn't fishing. I was actually going to say that I think that there might be a few people that are hungover. I have a cupcake hangover. That's what I have. And I said to Adam, you might have a lot of people here with hangovers, and without missing a beat, he said, those are my people. You know, we not only like to have the leading thinkers in design and branding on our keynote main stage, but we also like to have some of the most exciting new thinkers and designers and makers, and that is definitely our next speaker, ADAMJK Kurtz, or ADAMJK. I had the opportunity to interview him last year for Design Matters, and I was just completely overwhelmed by his energy, his enthusiasm, his passion, his vulnerability, his authenticity, and his talent. Man, I'm actually jealous of how talented he is. So let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a designer, he's an artist, he's an author, he's got a gorgeous husband, and his, his illustrative work is rooted in honesty and humor and a little darkness, and I think that's what makes it so interesting. His creative journals, One Page at a Time and Pick Me Up, have been published in over a dozen languages. He's one of Print Magazine's 15 Under 30 and a 2017 Webby Awards honoree. He's designed fabulously witty products for Urban Outfitters and the Strand Bookstore, where he's also had his wedding. And he's also done work for Pepsi and Adobe and the New York Times and the New Yorker. He had a piece in the New Yorker recently. Yeah. He's most proud of the fact that he can pull off wearing overalls as an adult. And I actually thought that that was, you know, more of his cheeky wit. And when I saw him on Tuesday, he was wearing overalls. And I'm really, really happy to say he's wearing overalls this morning. So please join me in welcoming the one and only amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, talented ADAMJK Kurtz.
Okay, I guess we're really doing this. This is horrifying. I did say to Debbie that you are all my people, but that was a lie. I was in bed at 8:30. I swung by Italy, I got a little brisket, watched 2 hours of Shark Tank. Anyone who went to Terry's talk yesterday knows that I just borrowed a lesson from her, but I did actually watch 2 hours of Shark Tank. I also did that the night before and the night before. Hi, How are you? I always like to have like a little welcome slide, like hi, whoever. And when I wrote hi, How, I was like, that's very like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like, hi, How. And then I told myself, Adam, don't say that on stage. So this is us, this is everyone in the room, creatives, question mark, designers, writers, entrepreneurs, art directors, advertising people, social media, whatever. Just confirming that there's not a camera trying to track my movements, because I move a lot. This is us in the room, so take a look around, look at the person next to you, look at the person 5 seats away, hoping not to be seen. This is what we do, great. And we're gathered here because we're passionate about this. We're gathered here because this is what unites us. And I want to give you all a secret. We all made sacrifices to be here. We're taking time off work. We bought our tickets. We're sitting near strangers, which is horrifying. So I'm going to give you a freebie. Here's a freebie for you. And take a picture of this next slide because it is groundbreaking. The thing that unites all of us is communication. Again, write this down. I know, it's hard to remember. Communication, that's what we're doing. Here's the real secret, though. If you ever get stuck on this, again, we are industry experts. Everyone in here is so fucking talented, but I know that we forget sometimes what we're doing. So here it is. The secret to communication is figure out what you're saying and then fucking say it. Figure out what you want to say, and then say the thing. I went to school for that. I realize now it's good that I mentioned, I have a degree from an accredited institution, and it says on it graphic design, just so you know. Feel something and then create work that will evoke that emotion in others. This is how I define art. By this definition, design absolutely is art. A tweet is art. A photo of a sunset is art. We are all artists. That is a very scary word. I just said it so many times. Art, artists. We're all artists. We make art. Okay, next. Here's some stuff that I made. Graphic designer ADAMJK has built his portfolio on uplifting but slightly cheeky missives printed on brightly colored objects ranging from balloons to books. That is a quote from Cool Hunting. They said this several years ago, and I feel like no one since has so succinctly summed up what I do, although Debbie just did an amazing job. I love that you list my beautiful and amazing husband as an accomplishment. And again, you guys can see what I look like. It is actually an accomplishment. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I love you so much, babe, but you could do better. I want more for you. Honesty, humor, and a little darkness. This is sort of the core drive of what I do, not just in my creative work, but also as a person in the world. This is my deal. This is how I cope. I am Jewish, for anyone wondering. I feel like that should, in New York, I don't have to tell you because you're like, yeah, no, I get it. I'm so sorry. I told myself I wouldn't, say New York. For those of you who don't know who I am, that's fine. I am highly irrelevant, but I will catch you up. So I was a kid once, great. Then I was a teen, a little bit less great. I'm Canadian, which I know is surprising because I have a thank you. Someone in one of the sessions yesterday, during the Q&A said that she was Canadian, and the presenter was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I was just sitting there and I was like, you bitch. I'm just kidding. I actually immediately followed Terry on Twitter. Terry, if you're here, you're not a bitch. Terry, I keep talking about her because she gave a session yesterday about how to speak effectively and how to get laughs, and I was like, God damn it, there's not enough time to redo my talk. So yeah, I'm Canadian, and I love mentioning this too because everything that's happening right now with our political situation, not my fault. I think that women are people. This is a groundbreaking opinion that I have that some don't share. I was on SNL once by mistake. That's me walking to work. I used to have a job. That's why I put the slide here. Those of you who follow me on social media, so 3 people in the room, you know that I love Michelle Branch. Can we turn this all the way up? As loud as it goes. This is why I asked for a handheld mic, thank you. And I really love bread. That's me, and that's all the bread that I love. And I'm the author of several illustrative books on creativity and mental health, including Things Are What You Make of Them. So I did get my degree in graphic design, and then I got a job, which is a huge accomplishment. Round of applause. I graduated from a design institution, and then I got a job. Thank you. That is actually very hard. Designing newsletters for cosmetic surgeons. My job was to sell. When people talk about, maybe some of what we do being occasionally insidious, I'm being really, really generous here. I worked for a company that did websites for cosmetic surgeons and cosmetic dentists. I literally sold insecurity. I coded before and after galleries for liposuction. As if I didn't already have enough issues with my body. So to stay sane, I started doing little bits and pieces of personal work that nobody asked for. And this is my very first zine called Talking About Feelings. You will notice that that is the name of this talk and sort of the core thesis of my body of work. And as Debbie mentioned, very recently I did a piece for The New Yorker, Life, a story in painted inspirational rocks, where I also just literally wrote feelings on rocks. And I recently ran into the editor, who's amazing. I ran into Emma at an event, and I just looked at her, and we sort of did this, in the OC, oh my God, Misha Barton's character, she steals the vodka and she's like, look what I stole. I looked at Emma and we had this moment of like, look what we did. Can you fucking believe it? We published rocks. So yeah, sometimes I get away with some bullshit. Personal work is important. That's what I'm here to talk to you about. It's the stuff we do for ourselves with no client, no teachers, no rules, and it will help us grow in our personal and professional lives. So I'm here to encourage you to do that. Here's why. Personal work lets us speak our minds. I love a paying client. I do. I really, really do. And any of you in this room in a position to hire me, feel free to reach out and I will totally love you for it. But I also love when you get the fuck away from me and I have no boss and I do exactly what I want. That's really fun too. Our creative tools enable us, again, to communicate, to feel something and make work that evokes that feeling in others. So how fun is it that we get to just do that by ourselves when we want to? Sorry, I'm such an asshole is one of my first creative projects that really sort of crossed outside my own personal space and onto the internet. And this got written up on a bunch of like culture blogs and design blogs, and I was just like, wow, I guess I'm a fucking genius. But here's why I made this. I had to dump someone because he was like a mess. And that's the thing about guys, like when you're dating guys, you start to figure out that they're all idiots. Is anyone familiar with this concept, men in the room? It's time to embrace it, we're all fucking dumb. And it's not our fault. It's a society doesn't force us to try as hard, so we never learn. Whew. Wow. I've only been talking for like 10 minutes and we already got there. Don't worry, there's more. I haven't even talked about straight people yet. So I had to dump this person. I felt really bad, even though it was justified. I made this balloon, but the minimum order was 500. So I have 499 balloons, and I don't know what to do with them, so I just popped them on the internet. These things still sell. It's nuts. Obviously, I spent 2 seconds on that. That typeface is from dafont.com, which tells you how long ago I made this. And I realized that if you just make something that's real, people might connect with it. Personal work helps us identify what matters. Here's why. If you're going to dedicate nights and weekends to something, by choice, chances are you care about it. That's a really great litmus test. When it's 2 a.m. and you're like making something that nobody asked you to make that you just feel like making, you care about it. So for some of us, it's like, oh, I don't care about anything. For some of us who wear all black and live in New York, it's sometimes really hard to know if we actually give a shit about anything. And this is a great test. For me, it's finding creative outlets that help me navigate this life, and then turning them into tools for others, for communication or introspection. Pretty much everything I've ever made is just me talking to myself or trying to create art therapy tools out of it. But you will never see me make a book called The Art Therapy Book because the kids are too smart for that and they won't buy it. Right? When your mom gives you something and she's like, you should really read this, you don't read it. But if she puts it on the kitchen table, you might pick it up and read it. And right, when our friend gives us direct advice that we didn't ask for, we're like, fuck you. But if it's a suggestion that we stumble upon ourselves, we're like, oh, amazing. Personal work leaves a paper trail. There are a lot of people on this planet. It is a big world. Personal work leaves a trail that says, I was here, I exist. And not only that, it leaves a trail of, hey, here's the work that I want to be making. And if someone wants that work, maybe they'll follow it all the way to the end. And then it's like, hello, it's me. Here's my portfolio. Please hire me. And sometimes literally a paper trail. So for 4.5 years, I collected all the ephemera of my life, just like receipts and little stuff. For 4.5 years, I made a collage of this called Weekend Scraps. It took off on Instagram under the hashtag Weekend Scraps. There's not a lot of subtlety with me. It's because I don't understand subtlety. And Instagram did a feature on the creator of this project. It was this guy named Devin who stole my idea and then took credit for it. I'm used to it. Devin, fuck yourself. Truly personal work. I'm gonna show you a bunch of truly personal projects. I'm gonna run through them quick. You're gonna see that some of them are very smart and good. And some of them took 2 fucking seconds, and you're gonna be mad that I'm on this stage. You're gonna be mad. You're gonna be like, I could fucking do that. And my point here today is, Yeah, you could, and I want you to. Again, don't do exactly what I'm doing, Forever 21, but please, please feel enabled to make things that nobody wants, because you might be surprised and people might want it. Talking about feelings, this is just a bottle of feelings. This is me as hell. This is extremely me. And it might surprise you to know that recently at the Museum of Design Atlanta, 99 physical ceramic feelings jars were on display in a fucking museum. What? Is this good? I don't know. What is this? I've seen it on Tumblr. What is this art? It is so familiar. I was falling asleep one night and I had this idea for a joke. I was like, this is a funny shirt that should exist. So I quickly comped something up in Photoshop. Again, we all have Photoshop. Is Adobe a sponsor? Adobe Photoshop. And, it was like 11:30. I did what anyone would do. I comped up a quick mock-up. And again, Adobe Photoshop is part of the creative suite of products. And Adobe, it's studio at ADAMJK.com. Thank you. And I posted online. But of course, it's funnier if it's a real shirt, which it wasn't. But I put a link, now accepting pre-orders. And to make it really funny, it was a clickable hyperlink. So I had to link to some URL. So I linked to the Google search result for the word no. So if you did click it, it was going to be like, no. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. This image had 5,000 reblogs. And I opened my inbox. That tells you something about my age, where I checked Tumblr before email. Tumblr. That was a good RIP. I had all these emails, and it was like, hey, man. Sorry, for those of you who aren't with me, that's my straight guy voice. That's all straight men sound to me. You know, what is it? It's Charlie Brown, right? When the adults talk. So that's all straight men. That's just what they sound like. And I want to clarify, I don't have a problem with straight men. I know that you were born that way. It was not a choice. And I respect that. But I respect it less than queer people and women. So for me, you're just at the bottom of the food chain. Should clarify, for me and like me alone. But, our time is up. Oh. Didn't mean that one on purpose. But straight white men, you're canceled. Anyway, the shirt blew up. People did want to buy it. I did a pre-order. I sold like 400 in that first batch. The original album art designer, Peter Seville, who did the Joy Division art, was asked about the t-shirt in an interview with The Guardian. And he said, it's profoundly clever. And I was like, damn, I guess it is. And of course, it's a commentary on the nature of appropriation in the internet. And of course, it is a fully legal thing that I created, not just because of parody law, but because the original image is an open source royalty-free image. Please do not make illegal fan art. I know it's the 90s again, and we're like really into bootleg culture, but like, we're better than that. I just realized I've never spoken at a conference where there was a sign language interpreter before, which is really cool. Can you just communicate that I have an extremely gay voice? Like, let them know. Representation matters. I sound so, like, look at me for 1 second, like, so fucking gay. Like, extremely, like, stereotype gay. Yes, thank you. People can feel on some level when you're faking. People know when you're full of shit. So when I see your like optimism content, we're not motivated every Monday. You tried. This is a pin that I made. Just do not. I made this in 3 fucking seconds. You're gonna be so mad. I made this in 3 seconds and it like blew up for some reason. And Adweek interviewed me about it, and then Fast Company took that interview and repackaged it as its own content. That's not even fair. People ask me to sell this on a shirt. First of all, illegal. Second of all, buy a Sharpie. People are always like, hey, like you should sell this as a print. I'm like, why? Get a pencil. Do you need one? I have them. Everything will be so good so soon. Just hang in there and don't worry about it too much. Again, I made this very quickly. A friend of mine was in an accident, and she had a recovery process ahead of her. She's totally fine. One time I told this at a talk, and I was like, my friend was hit by a car, and everyone got really quiet. And Sarah Jean was there in the back, and she's like, I'm okay. She has made a full recovery. She's doing great. This image was really the first sort of positive, purely positive thing I made, and it has lived on doing its own thing. And it taught me that it's actually okay to just make nice things that make people happy. And for a depressed, trying to be cool dude, that was a groundbreaking lesson. I'm about to read you the wrong one. I love you like I love my coffee. First in the morning or last at night, dark or sweet or both, right now and later and always and constantly. I didn't know. I know that these are called confidence monitors, but they are freaking me the fuck out. That's too big. I didn't know that love was real. I know that that sounds maybe crazy. We've established that I am that. So I just didn't totally get it. And then I fell in love. And I fell in love so fucking hard. And I was like, oh my God. I was just like, what the fuck? Every pop song is good? And it was a groundbreaking moment. Again, I'm gay, so I just like pop music no matter what. I'm like, this is great. And then I was like, Selena Gomez, you're a genius. It changed everything for me. So I made a coffee mug about it, as one does. But here is the thing. You meet a guy, he's 6'2", blue eyes, Canadian, so he's not part of the problem. 2 months into the relationship, he makes this coffee mug. That's a red flag. If you meet someone and they love you this much, that quickly, that's weird. But I'm really proud to say Mitchell did not run away, and we got married in December. I'm showing you the world's smallest ring, but please clap. My Jeb Bush moment, please clap. I know that the political situation is crazy, but let's never forget Jeb Bush saying, please clap. That was me as hell. That was really, now I'm just describing social media content. This is not in the deck, but you know in the electric slide when it's the time to do the claps? I edited together that music video with Jeb Bush saying, please clap. And it got way less social engagement than I felt it deserved. I'm a tool or a weapon and completely free, which is literally terrifying. Have you ever considered the fact that we all have the power to create and destroy? Every single day. I'm at a professional conference holding a microphone. I could say 5 wrong words and end my career right now. Holy crap, this microphone is a weapon. And because I love to be really literal, a pencil is literally a tool or a weapon. You can write the next great book in pencil, or a somewhat good book called Things Are What You Make of Them, which is entirely handwritten for some reason. But also, and this is a hot tip, you can kill someone with a pencil if you puncture them. Again, look, that's why I'm wearing overalls. It's not, but it works. The fleshy sort of back. Sorry, your back might not be fleshy. I have back rolls. That's just a thing about me. If you pop through the back and you hit a lung, the person will die. So when you see someone with a pencil over their ear and they're like, I'm very busy, no, they're not. They're a murderer. Because real talk, if you're so fucking busy, you would use a pen. Do it yourself and see how it goes. This is pretty much the ultimate lesson that I have learned in my career. It's don't wait for permission to make your personal work. People are like, well, I have all this creativity inside me. My job is great, but I want to do this other thing. But can't make a book because I don't have a publisher. So fucking what? We have so many resources and tools at our disposal. Do you remember when you would have to get Microsoft Office for Mac? Is Microsoft a sponsor? Good. Because I don't know if they would like that joke. You would have to steal Microsoft Office from your friend on on a disk. Now, we have Google Docs, or we have Dropbox Paper, which I'm under the impression is a thing. I haven't used it, but it looked really cool in Colin's presentation, and I was like, oh, I wish I had a job that would pay for this. Do it yourself and see how it goes. I'm going to share my favorite anecdote. If you did hear the interview with Debbie Millman, you will know that I love this anecdote, but I grew up religious, and I grew up studying, I grew up Jewish, so it was Old Testament only. But at the very end of the Old Testament, there's this moment where Harry, Ron, and Hermione are going to defeat Voldemort, who's living in the back of Professor Quirrell's little hat, and they get stuck, right? They fall down a hole, and they get tangled in the devil's snare. And Hermione is like, you know, a genius, and she says, the devil's snare, oh, the devil's snare. It hates heat and light. And then Harry Potter does what any man would do, heard what she said, and then just said it louder. Oh, good, then we need fire. And everyone was like, yes, Harry Potter, boy genius. And Hermione Granger's like, are you fucking kidding me? She lets it go, because she's 11. You ever think about that? They're fucking 11 years old and they're gonna save the wizarding world. I feel like that sets an unrealistic expectation for the rest of us. I'm 29 and I haven't done anything. I'm like 10 minutes behind my talking schedule. I'm looking at the clock, also fucking terrifying. But anyway, Hermione Granger's like, oh, fire, great, we don't have any wood. Ron Weasley, hashtag justice for Rupert Grint's career. Where is it? He was also in those films. Ron Weasley bellows. That's the word choice. Ron bellows. Are you a witch or not? Hermione Granger, you have a fucking wand. You don't need matches. You have a wand. Guys, all of us have the brilliant and amazing Adobe Creative Suite of products. So my question is, are you witches or not? We have the power to make fucking anything. Anything. We are all witches. And I don't mean that in like a Brooklyn, LA, like moon juice way. I mean, we literally can make anything. No shade to the moon juice users out here. I aspire to be that rich. Do you know what I'm talking about? This like moon juice, moon powder? Yeah, you know. You have ombre hair. I know you know. This is a annual calendar that I do every year. It's called Unsolicited Advice, and I published it myself the first year by stealing paper from my job, and then I switched to Kickstarter, and it was like, okay. One year I made 14 grand. I was like, holy shit. Then it started to taper off, and I was like, fine. But I made this thing that I wanted to make. I didn't have money to buy presents for my friends. I lived in Baltimore in a punk house with 6 people. Do you guys know what a punk house is? It's like just a disgusting house, but it sounds better. Someone at one of our parties actually fell through a floorboard. Her whole leg went through the floorboard. My rent was $300. I had a bedroom and a separate room for a studio for $300, and I still couldn't make rent sometimes. Every so often when New York feels really hard, I just think back to that. But I didn't have money for presents, so I just made them. Life is hard, but mostly worth it. This is something that I learned. This is something that I was really thinking about. I was like, oh, calendars, time, slow down, process every day. Wow, I need to get through a year. I was thinking about all that stuff, and then something changed my life. Can we make sure the volume is like very good? This is a clip. Again, I love the Bible. This is a clip from a recent dramatization of the New Testament.
I did not know that it was your diary. I thought it was a very sad handwritten book.
I made a very sad handwritten book called One Page at a Time. It is all about taking things one page at a time. Guys, again, it's literal. And then it got translated into 17 fucking languages. And again, I'm like emotionally stunted and I learned things very slowly. It took me like this extremely obvious example rooted in consumerism to learn that actually my problems are universal. So I was going through life like, oh, everyone has it great except for me. And then I was like, oh no, we're all fucked up. And there's just like little fun prompts in there, like draw bananas for 20 minutes, then split. I'm not a dad, but I'm gonna be such a good dad. I don't always know where I'm going, but that's never really stopped me before. I made this book, it did super well. Penguin, name drop, Penguin, Random House, double name drop, they merged. They were like, make another book. And I was like, I do not know how to do that. Didn't know how to do it the first time, still don't know how to do it. But they were like, please think about it. So I was just thinking about life, and I was like, well, I just made this book about how to get better and how to fix all your problems and how life is hard but mostly worth it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, then why am I still so fucking depressed? And I realized that actually life is linear, but our brains are not. We cycle back all the time. We obsess over the same problems over and over again. So I made a book called Pick Me Up. And Pick Me Up is like a very cute journal where you don't just do a page and turn the page. You fill out a page a little bit, and then you fill out another page, and then 3 months later you come back to the first page, and you write yourself an advice book. It is a literal self-help book. Because if I write a page that says, cheer up, you're just gonna be like, fuck you. If I write like, hey, depression, snap out of it, you're gonna be like, are you fucking kidding me? But if you tell yourself to snap out of something, if you tell yourself the answer and then you find that later, you only have yourself to blame. I was gonna say you can't hate yourself, but like obviously you can, that's like why we're here. But it's different when it comes from you. Reiterate and expand on success. I'm gonna speed up, I've been talking for so long. Reiterate and expand on success. This is something that some of us struggle with. We do something and it is successful and we're like, great, on to the next one. I'm a creative genius, can't hold me down. I'm gonna go do 100 things. Slow the fuck down. Why do you gotta reinvent the wheel every single time? That seems really hard. So I started writing these like little aphorisms that I posted on Instagram. Again, only I would call this an aphorism. Yes, midnight, time to analyze shit I said in 2008 and then beat myself up over. I started posting these on Instagram just because they were fun and people on Instagram liked them, and I was just like, this is fun, this is funny, these are sketches, whatever. People really liked them, so I kept doing them. And I grew my Instagram social media following, I guess because of this. It's not because I'm cute, so like it's gotta be this, I guess. Process of elimination. It could be my husband, he is really fucking cute. And people really liked it, so then I made a postcard book that is basically the same thing. And I didn't know what I was doing, but eventually an editor at Abrams was like, oh, you should do a postcard book. And she just went through my Instagram. She's like, this one, this one, this one. I was like, okay. Some of those postcards are really fucking weird. That's why it's called What I'm Trying to Say to You. Some of it is just like weirdo abstract concepts that they don't make cards for, available at all fine book retailers. Now I'm gonna show you professional personal work, because here's what happens when you do that paper trail. You tell people what you like making, and eventually they start being like, oh, well, I like that, and you like making it, so make it for me. And that happens. And this has become a job. You can be yourself. Again, do that cue like it's gonna be real gay. You can be yourself, but like for others. You can be yourself, but like for others. And that's okay. It's still you. You're still being you. So here's some GIFs I made for Giphy. And you can put these in your text, or you can use them on Instagram stories if you just search in the GIF search for ADAMJK. The set is called At the Office, and it has lots of great things that we see at the office, such as a pivot to video. One of my favorite ones that they let me keep in is just a thought bubble that says casual sexism. At the office. Uncomfortable laughter because it's so incredibly true. I also had one that said blunt racism, but we took it out. That's right, I cut out racism. I solved racism. This joke doesn't work from a white person, don't laugh at it. I made a collection of housewares with Urban Outfitters, which was fucking crazy because obviously everything about my personality has been modeled after their brand. They were like, would you ever do anything with Urban Outfitters? And literally in the meeting, they're like, sometimes we have trouble getting artists to work with us. And I was like, I don't know why, we all shop there. It's fine. I made this ashtray. I wish you would catch fire so I could put you out. It is about an ex-boyfriend. I like to joke that I'm like the Taylor Swift of novelty gift products. So like, if you fuck me over, you're gonna end up on a keychain. Of course, since first telling that joke, Taylor Swift has become a very polarizing and problematic figure, just because she built a career on feminism but then didn't say anything in support of Hillary Clinton. Anyway, here's a cootie catcher that I made for Adobe, for the Adobe Create blog. And if you remember, cootie catchers are fortune tellers. You can print this out and get a little creative pep talk. You can still do this at the Adobe Create website. I believe that's create.adobe.com. Does anyone here actually work at Adobe? Could you raise your hand? Okay, cover your ears for this. They accidentally issued me 2 checks for this, and I cashed both of them. It's like the only dishonest thing I've ever done, and it's haunting me. so I just mention it at conferences if Adobe is a sponsor. So thank you for that. It was through your third-party vendor. One was like in one fiscal year, and then one was another. I knew it was going to be a nightmare for you guys, so I just, you know. You're welcome, actually. It probably would have cost more to fix the problem. I actually was like, Adam, you are not doing this, and I tore it in half, and then my friend was like, you know, it's just a check, it's actually just a document representing something else, so if you tape it, the bank will still cash it. And then I did tape it and cash it. Anyway, please hire me some more, and if you happen to issue 2 checks, that would be great. Be genuinely interested and excited. People are like, Adam, I want a brand collab with brands, and I'm like, well, just be really excited about things. I love the Strand bookstore. I was there for a meeting for something else. I pitched them this myself. I was like, do you ever do artist collab totes? They were like, yeah, we used to, but we haven't in a while. I was like, what if you bring them back? And they're like, well, you know, we have to like figure out who to do it with, and we don't have anyone. I was like, what about me? Done, great. I did a collection with Fishizetti. If any of you are, we have any Fishizetti heads out there? Love that store. I'm so obsessed with that store. Someone who works there ordered a pin from my website, which is shop.adamjk.com, and got it delivered to their job because in New York you can't get mail delivery. That's just like a thing. And I was like, oh my God. And I wrote the most crazy, like rambly fan letter. It was one Post-it note, and then I had to attach a second Post-it note to the bottom. But they brought me in for a little meeting, and I met the owner, and she's also Jewish, and it was just like a fucking shit show, but in the best way. And we made a whole collection of stuff. There's that feelings jar. You guys know that I love Michelle Branch. Last year, she put out a new album, and I did merch for her fucking tour. My teen idol. I did merch for Michelle Branch. For those of you who are thinking of the song 1,000 Miles, that's not her. That's Vanessa Carlton. I don't remember this, but apparently on my first date with my now husband, I quizzed him on the difference between Michelle Branch and Vanessa Carlton. So I guess he passed the test. No memory of this. And the coolest thing about working with one of my teen idols is that she respected me as an independent creative, and she paid me better than a lot of other clients. That was really cool. And that's something that happens. Again, this just looks like stuff that I would make, except that it was like my teen idol's like lyrics. Nobody's begging you to sell out. I want you to know that. You guys know that you have jobs, you're real people, but sometimes I speak to students who are not yet real people. And any students here, I'm sorry, but you're not real yet. Everything you think about the world will change. That's just a fact. I'm 29 and I'm still coming to terms with that. I'm still realizing that everything isn't what I thought. And we have this idea of like, I'll never sell out. I'm here to tell you that that is just ridiculous because nobody's asking you to sell out. And it is actually, it's so weird to say this in this room because I think we get it. All of you people who work in house get it. You're all artists, you're all creatives, and you're using your skills to make things that need to be made with budgets. Imagine that. Imagine making work and having a budget to make it. But nobody's begging you to sell out. And if you want to have a career as a creative person, you need to embrace that fact. And I literally have said this in art schools and just seen faces and like, what? You should be so lucky that a company wants to hire you after graduation. I said that, I just said that outright, and everyone was like, oh. Anyway, I did a tote bag for Microsoft, speaking of. 10 productive uses for this tote bag. This was a tote bag for like a client event that they were doing, and I wrote 10 productive uses for this tote bag. That was the sketch that I sent them. They said, we love it, but we need it tomorrow, so I live traced it and charged them double for a rush fee. They're Microsoft, it's fine, they don't care. Customized product for Vans campus influencers. Customized product for Vans campus influencers. That's just like a great phrase. I love influencer. I get emails now. They're like, dear influencer. I'm like, that's not a thing. Didn't go to school for that. Would have loved to. Would have been a really short program. You know, this just looks like something I made, except I did it 40 times on shoes. It's okay to make things and be paid for them. You deserve money for your work. It is okay to make things and be paid for them. If someone says to you, hey, I love that thing you do, will you do it? Great. They're telling you that they love it. They are telling you that it has value. And now you can ask them how much value. And if the value is $0 but great exposure, you can tell them to fuck off. Last week, a major beverage brand asked me to participate in a photo shoot and video interview. And it was a really cool thing, and like they're in, you know, it's a cool water, and they're in all the stores, and they were like, oh, but we don't have a budget. And I was like, what? Your water costs like $5. I know you have a budget. It was fucking bizarre. Don't tell someone that they have value, or don't let someone tell you that you have value and then tell you that that value is zero. It's okay to make things and be paid for them. It's literally what our job is. Thank you. I know that some of us work in companies where we are the creative team or we're the creative team members and other people don't really get what we're doing. Here's the thing, they get it when it's not done. They get it when it's not done right. Clearly, we have value. Here's some stickers that I made for Laundry Service Cycle. Again, it's okay to make things and be paid for them. This is just some fun thing that I made. This is Brooklyn Public Library's Bookmobile. They have a fleet of mobile libraries. And I got to do these sort of literary themed doodles. I got a rose in a glass jar from Beauty and the Beast. They were like, oh my God, is that Beauty and the Beast? I was like, yes, it is. It was so fun. Here's something I did for the New York Times, an editorial illustration that I did. Again, this is just like a pile of literal garbage. That's just paper scraps. It's all paper. Here is an illustration about digital hoarding. I did not do this for Dropbox, but I would absolutely do something similar. Again, it's studio@adamjk.com. This is SpawnCon. Are we familiar with hashtag SpawnCon? Sponsored content on Instagram. The kids call it SpawnCon. Now you know. That phrase originated on Who Weekly, which is a hilarious podcast about sub-D-list celebrities. So there's thems, the A-list, and then there's who's. Like Rita Ora, no one knows who that is. She's sort of the originator of Who Weekly, and there was a spread in New York Magazine about it recently. SpawnCon. So this is stuff that looks like I would make it anyway, except paid partnership with Sharpie. Fairly disclosed according to FTC guidelines, Sharpie paid me to post these things that I wanted to make. And this is a way that creative people now, some creative people now, are making a living. Again, it's okay to make things and be paid for them. I have turned down SpawnCon when it didn't align with my sensibilities. For example, I was asked to do an anti-smoking campaign, and I was like, is it okay if I smoke? And they were like, no. So I didn't do it. Here's some stuff I did for General Mills, some Cheerios, some Gushers. Again, this is just like fun stuff. Brands want to reach, I know this is everybody here right now. This is you. Sorry, is this Cheerios? I should have taken this slide out. But again, I went to bed at 8:30, so I'm not really feeling what you're feeling. Failure is just research unless you never try again. Thank you. Yes, get those photos. I posted this on Instagram, and it got surprisingly good engagement, so think about it. It's hashtag ADAMJK, @ADAMJK on all social platforms. Except for Facebook, I refuse to pay for engagement, so don't even bother. Failure is just research unless you never try again. When you quit, you're done. If you try again, then everything was just getting you to that point. Again, build on things, reiterate and expand on success, and expand on failure too. Failure is just exploration. I don't know if anyone is playing Design Conference Bingo, but you can now stamp the Talk About Failure piece on your card. Does anyone have bingo? Have we done it? Failure. Did I say anything else good? All of this learning, all of the experience, I forgot to mention that I had jobs in traditional advertising and briefly worked at BuzzFeed. I forgot to tell you that I have that kind of experience as well. But everything that I learned, everything that I was thinking about and feeling about, social content I was making, my zines, my personal projects, led me to write an essay called Simple Tips for Success. It has very few words because the kids don't read. It's text on an image because that's how we share. It's brightly colored because Pinterest. And people really liked it. People were like, yes, I appreciate this advice presented in a colloquial way that feels like a real person did it, handwritten so I know it's real, it's not super scary. People really liked it, so I did more. Old me would have been like, great, you like that? Well, here is a completely different thing that you probably don't like because it's so radically different. Instead, I said, great, I'll do more. I see some of you taking pictures. I'm going to tell you why you don't need to. Because after writing these once a month for 2 years, I realized that I had written, literally handwritten, a fucking book. I was like, oh, this is a book. And again, everything I learned up until this point taught me something. So when I made these individual social graphics, I still scanned them at 1200 DPI, because you never know. So I pitched the book to Penguin, and it was done the next day. They're like, this is great. How, you know, what can we expect? I was like, oh, it's done. It's print res. I got this. I feel like I need to clarify for everyone out here in the audience who's like, great, pencil. What app did you made all this in an app? No, I'm a graphic designer. We got accurate resolutions for screen and page. I'm laying out my own books in InDesign. Again, we all have the amazing Adobe suite of creative products. We are witches. We can do anything. Even when we don't know what we're doing, we can still be doing things. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, obviously, but I prepare for any possible future. I prepare for as much as I possibly can, because life is scary and life doesn't always tell us what's coming, but we have the tools and we can sharpen our pencils and we can get ready for opportunities. We can keep our eyes open. We can state our social media handles and email addresses on the How Design Life stage several times just in case. Things are what you make of them. This is the ultimate lesson of my entire life. I have built a career out of stupid personal work using very few tools. The majority of the work I showed you today is made in pencil. Just a pencil. Those are usually free. You can just get one at like the gas station. You don't actually have to do the, is it Kino? I don't gamble. I don't trust myself to gamble, but you can get a free pencil. Go to IKEA. They have them. Here are my final lessons for you. Have some fun. Have some fun, because the only guarantee, again, we're all united by our industry, our profession, we're all communicators, but the only thing that is truly the same for all of us is that we're all going to die. Amy told me before this talk that there was some confusion at a previous event and people thought that there was a legitimate threat. Again, I'm not going to kill you. I don't have a pencil on me right now. I do have a wonderful Sharpie brand permanent ink pen. Again, that is a Sharpie brand. They're not paying me to say that anymore. It's okay to not know. Again, just prepare. Just be smart. Use your tools. Sometimes you're making something and you don't know what it is until it's done. Sometimes it's not a thing until you decide that it's done. A lot of things can be art. That's the brilliant thing about it. So just keep your eyes peeled and know that it's okay to not really know. And know that you will learn by doing. I don't know how to public speak. That was barely a sentence. But if you do it enough times, you start to figure things out. So if you thought this talk was bad, you really should have heard it the first time. And my slides didn't work. I told the AV people about that. Profit, last slide. Profit? I don't know. I really don't know. But there are a lot of kinds of profit. I started making this work because it was keeping me sane. It was balancing out me selling insecurities in the form of cosmetic surgery websites. It was profiting me on an emotional level. The real reason to make personal work is for yourself. It will inform your existence on this planet. It will inform your professional work. I am not telling you to get a side hustle and monetize it. That doesn't sound like fun. That sounds like more work. So my wish for you is that you will make things that make you happy, that bring joy to the people around you, and that maybe somehow there will be a paycheck attached to that too, if you want it. But no pressure. Just make things. And that's it. That's how I feel about like pretty much everything. This is me on social media. That's my book one more time. And thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it.
I am just like,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, was that just incredible? Yes. I mean, that was so incredible. Gosh. I took so many notes, took so many pictures, but Adam is going to be outside the doors outside, right outside the entrance. He's got some things that he's selling, so I would encourage you to stop by, and I'm trying to give him time, trying to kill a little time. He's out the door. So if you guys want to go ahead and make your way out there and then to your first breakout sessions, I will see you back here shortly. Thanks.
My heart is beating, and I'm sorry that I let